Even Solange's son, the Daniel kid, he says he doesn't have a great relationship with Beyonce, Jay Z. I don't. What do you feel someone coming out saying, "Hey, Jay Z is my father"? What does that person want from a Hove if he's saying he does not
To
care? You
prove
think
that his mother wasn't a liar, because that's what they said his entire life while she was alive. Denying him makes her a liar. That woman was on the phone with the judge who was harassing her, telling her, demanding that she stop filing for paternity when she gave way and died. His mama died on the phone. Trying to get proper acknowledgement for him.
For years, quiet whispers have followed Jay-Z about a possible secret son, but now it looks like the truth might finally be catching up to him in the loudest way possible. What once lived in the shadows as just rumors has now exploded into a full-on legal showdown. And Beyoncé? Word is, she's doing everything in her power to keep this from turning into a total public disaster. Let's take it from the top. A man named Rymir Satterthwaite has been claiming for over a decade that Jay-Z is his biological father. His story isn't brand new, but what is new is how far this thing has gone. After years of legal back and forth, a court has officially stepped in and ordered Jay-Z to submit a DNA sample. And this ain't just about some teenager anymore. Rymir is now a grown man, and after years of feeling ignored, he might finally be getting the answers he's been chasing his whole life. And here's where it gets even wilder. Sources close to the situation are saying Beyoncé may have had a much bigger hand in this drama than anyone realized.
Don't nobody want to talk about the other kids that everybody denies don't exist and whatever. To be a billionaire that can't get a loan is one thing. But to be a broke billionaire and a deadbeat dad, that's something different.
One person, who allegedly had ties to someone deep in Beyoncé's circle, claimed that she once brushed off the entire situation, supposedly saying something like, "Go away, little boy." Now yeah, that's hearsay. But what's not up for debate is just how tightly this secret has been locked down. Insiders are saying Beyoncé's been going all in behind the scenes to make sure this story stays buried. Not because she doubts Jay-Z's past, but because confirming it could completely wreck the empire they've built. Just think about it for a second. Beyoncé and Jay-Z aren't just another celebrity couple. They're the power couple. Their brand, their billion-dollar legacy, their flawless public image. It's all been built on perfection. But now, that image is on shaky ground. And it sounds like they've been doing everything possible for years to keep this quiet. Because if this situation with Rymir ever truly sees the light of day, it could blow everything up for the Carters, big time. And it gets even messier when you rewind to the start. Reports say Rymir's mother, Wanda, met Jay-Z back in the early 90s, way before Beyoncé ever came into the picture. Wanda was still a teen, while Jay-Z was in his early 20s. They reportedly had a short fling, but according to Wanda, that one moment left her pregnant. At the time, Jay-Z was laser-focused on launching his rap career, and Wanda didn't even have his real contact info, which made tracking him down nearly impossible. Then things took a messy turn. Wanda gave birth, but she was already in a relationship with another man, Robert, who ended up signing the birth certificate. Now, here's where it gets shady. Reports say Robert allegedly knew the baby wasn't his, but signed anyway, possibly so Wanda could qualify for public assistance. Wanda was still recovering from giving birth and supposedly had no idea Robert had even signed the document. Years later, the truth came out.
What I've heard about them as a couple is that they've been living separate lives for a very long time. So they together, but they living separate. And part of the reason why they're already living separate lives, and we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood, is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed. And it's only so much of these stories that Jay-Z can, he can pay off or he can block. He won't be able to stop this. And she knows it and he knows it too. As far as who's gonna be the breakout victim / story, I don't know.
Rymir says he found out around the age of 8 when his mom sat him down and told him that Jay-Z was his real father. Not long after that, Wanda passed away. But before she died, she signed a sworn affidavit officially naming Jay-Z as the father. That document would go on to play a major role in the legal drama that's dragged on for years. With support from his legal guardian, Lily Coley, Rymir ended up filing a civil lawsuit against Jay-Z back in 2014. They say they'd been trying for years to get Jay to take a DNA test, but every time they were hit with delays, legal pushback, claims of fraud, and non-stop efforts to get the whole case thrown out. And here's where Beyoncé allegedly steps back in. Sources say that once she learned more about the situation and the full timeline, she pushed hard for Jay-Z to shut it down. Fast. To her, this wasn't just a messy personal issue. This was a full-blown brand crisis. This whole situation had the power to bring some serious heat, and the Carters clearly knew it. In an industry where reputations crumble overnight, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were reportedly treating this as a major threat to their carefully polished image. Even Jaguar Wright chimed in, claiming Beyoncé's been deep in damage control for years, and even went as far as accusing her of pretending that Blue Ivy is her only child. Meanwhile, Rymir has made one thing clear. He's not chasing Jay-Z's money or fame. He's not asking for a dime. He's been working 2 jobs, holding it down on his own, and just wants the truth. This was never about publicity. My whole thing was just to see who my father was, he said during an interview. Still, despite his words, some folks keep questioning his intentions. But now, a court has finally ordered a DNA test, and Rymir might finally get the truth he's been searching for. And here's where it gets even crazier. He's reportedly already taken a DNA test with a woman who's rumored to be Jay-Z's first child. If the results come back positive, it would prove that Jay-Z had a son before any of his publicly known children. And that would shake the entire Carter legacy. And even more shocking, some insiders claim that Jay-Z was open to having a relationship with Rymir at one point. But when Beyoncé allegedly learned all the messy details, including how young Wanda was when she met Jay, she supposedly wanted the entire situation locked down. And if that's true, it lines up perfectly with how Beyoncé moves, quiet, controlled, and always protecting the Carter name. For someone like Beyoncé, whose entire brand revolves around control and perfection, this situation is wild. And now, with the court deadline for the DNA test fast approaching, people are asking the real questions. Why wasn't this handled years ago? Why did it take endless legal battles and complete silence to even get to this point? And here's the biggest one. How much did Beyoncé actually know? Sources close to the situation are saying she might have had way more involvement behind the scenes than anybody guessed. Now that the courts are finally stepping in and demanding answers, it's getting harder and harder to keep those secrets in the dark. Let's break it down. According to reports, both Rymir and his legal guardian, Lily Coley, have alleged that Jay-Z and Beyoncé used their power and connections to block the DNA test from ever happening. And it gets even messier. They ended up filing legal complaints against their own lawyers. Yeah, you heard that right. They claim the very attorneys who were supposed to be helping them were secretly in contact with Jay-Z's legal team behind closed doors. These lawyers allegedly made moves that went completely against Rymir's case. Lily says they didn't just make small mistakes. They dropped the ball so hard, it wrecked everything. With their own legal team allegedly working against them, Rymir and Lily were left scrambling to pick up the pieces. They had no choice but to represent themselves for a while, filing motion after motion just to keep the case alive. But going up against Jay-Z's high-powered legal machine, that was a whole different battle. Insiders say the delays, The constant case dismissals and the behind-the-scenes pressure made it nearly impossible for Rhaenyra to get real progress. And throughout it all, the silence from Jay-Z's side only made the situation feel even more suspicious. No public statement, no denial, just silence, which, for a man as powerful as Jay, said a lot without saying anything at all. But now that the court is stepping in directly, demanding a DNA test, things are finally heating up. And people are starting to dig even deeper into past legal documents, timelines, and even old interviews. There's buzz that some paperwork might have been altered or mishandled along the way, possibly to slow the case down even further. Meanwhile, Beyoncé's name keeps popping up. Some say she's doing everything possible to keep this from becoming a headline scandal. For her, this isn't just about Jay-Z's alleged son, it's about protecting her entire legacy. With her reputation, her daughter, and her billion-dollar brand all tied to this image of family perfection. This kind of exposure could be the one thing she can't control.
As far as Beyonce is concerned, do she love him? I mean, he's really all that she knows. She was ready to leave him years ago, but the industry it's different. And I don't want to say it's an Illuminati contract, because I don't know how the Illuminati get down. I really don't know. And I'm not going to lie to you and say I do. But essentially, she's been stuck, right? But I believe this is going to be her chance to get out. And according to what I heard, if certain things that I can't even speak on come out, she gone. She's going to protect her image. All right. And this, I mean, I don't know what would be the bigger divorce, Will and Jada or Beyonce and Jay-Z. But just know everybody's going to be talking about it. TMZ's going to talk about it first. And we're going to be talking about it probably for 6 months.
What's even wilder is how many people are now questioning why this case hasn't gained more media attention over the years. We're talking about one of the biggest rappers in the world being hit with a paternity claim, and yet barely a whisper from major outlets. Some fans think this silence isn't accidental at all. There are rumors flying that certain media platforms were told to back off the story, or risk losing access to Jay-Z's massive influence and industry connections. And let's be real, this wouldn't be the first time powerful celebs have controlled the narrative behind the scenes. But now that the court is forcing a DNA test, even the industry insiders are starting to talk. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra hasn't stopped fighting. Despite all the setbacks, betrayals, and legal tricks, he's stayed focused on one thing: getting the truth. "I don't want anything from Jay-Z. I just want to know who I am," he reportedly told a source close to the case. That one sentence hit fans hard, especially those who see this as more than gossip. It's about identity, truth, and a young man who's been ignored for way too long. And here's the twist: if that DNA test comes back positive, the impact could shake the industry to its core. Not only would it rewrite Jay-Z's legacy, but it would also call out just how far some people might have gone to bury the truth. And Beyoncé? If she really was pulling strings behind the scenes, that perfect image might just crack for the first time ever. A court in Philadelphia eventually dismissed the case, but that didn't stop Jay-Z from seemingly addressing it in the one place he knows best: his music. In his track Heard About Us, Jay rapped, "Billie Jean in his prime for the 1000th time. The kid ain't mine." That line hit hard. It sounded like a straight-up reference to the Rhaenyra situation, comparing it to the infamous Michael Jackson paternity story. Then came the next jab. "Every day I'm getting sued, I show up to court without a suit." Whether he meant it to be subtle or not, the message was loud and clear to fans. Jay was denying everything, through bars. But instead of cooling things down, those lyrics only added more fuel to an already emotional case. And now, things have taken an unexpected turn. Rhaenyra has suddenly dropped the lawsuit with no explanation. Nobody's really talking about why. And that silence? It's making people suspicious. There are some wild theories floating around, but one thing is clear: this story is hanging by a thread. Because if Rhaenyra moves forward and gets that DNA test in a separate legal push and it proves what he's been claiming all along, this won't just be one man finding out who his father is. This could shatter the legacy of one of the most powerful families in music. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.